Hey, what's up everyone? This is Chris from WearTesters.com. Today we have the performance review on the Air Jordan 29. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. All right guys, so here is the traction pattern. Definitely a little bit different. One of those things that had me kind of curious or wondering whether or not it would work, especially on less than desirable court conditions. The very first floor that we ever played on with these guys here was at Jordan's house, and that floor is pretty much immaculate, and these things stuck to the floor like glue, which was great, but that's definitely not what I play on a regular basis. So I took these to pretty much every court that I play on. There's one that needs to be resurfaced. There's one that is nicely surfaced but really dirty. That's 24. And then there's the local high school, which is always like a nicely kept gym. And these guys pretty much worked on all of them. No real complaints. The traction pattern is wide enough to where dust does not get stuck in there too bad, and if it does, you just wipe real quick and then you're good to go. This is the translucent version, which you can already see, so if you get one with like a solid rubber sole, those should be a little bit better in dustier settings. So here's just a quick comparison with the 28. These things I still find to be like the best of the best as far as traction is concerned, so this guy didn't quite live up to that, but it was almost as good, which is still good enough for me. The cushion in this thing is Zoom Air up in the forefoot and then nothing in the heel. A little bit different than last year's setup. This is a modified flight plate, so this is almost one continuous piece, and then these little pieces here are just attached, which you can see they're broken up, so they stick those on afterwards. And they've also switched around the placement of the zoom unit from last year's version, which is here, and this offers just better flexibility. It moves with your foot a little bit more, and these things also had a higher chance of popping. I never popped mine personally, but I've had friends that pop the heel, the forefoot, both, and this guy here has had no issues whatsoever. As far as how it feels, it's not as pronounced as the original. It doesn't stick out as much. These things were recessed back into the shoe a few millimeters, so it makes that kind of bouncy feeling that the original flight plate would give you a little less noticeable, but overall they're still really comfortable, still the best zoom setup to date. And this is something where I actually prefer this version because I'm not teetering off the ground a little bit, so I have nothing to really get used to. I just kind of lace them up and then I'm good to go. A lot of people are concerned with the heel. For me personally, it's just not an issue. I think that they're really comfortable. The foam that they use, I believe, is just regular Phylon, but it does feel good underfoot. And then right underneath your strike zone, they have corded out a little bit, similar to a running shoe. So when you do have that strike happen on the court, you're getting some compression there, which feels good. It feels almost like Zoom, but not Zoom. And with the original flight plate setup, you can see that it's just completely decoupled here, which is awesome for range of motion. But one of the things that people would complain about when they do heel strike is that because the two pieces are separate, that you kind of bow down with the pressure here. And so something that they've done to fix that was add this little bridge, or what they call a tendril. So when you do heel strike, it's just a smooth transition. There's no bounce or break in your stride, so you're just pretty much going from heel to forefoot really quickly, simply, and there's no distraction or anything like that with your transitions. So the material is performance woven. It's the entire upper. There's not one part of this upper that has not been woven into the structure itself. And for me, this is just like the best thing ever. It feels just like a leather sneaker would had you have broken it in for a few months, but without the break-in period, and they're not leather either, so it's like reducing half of the weight right off the bat. They flex and move with your foot perfectly. It feels great. It feels like playing with a really nice and supportive sock. And because of the weaving process that they have, it's so intricate that each of these strands are really thin. It's really even hard to see because they just kind of go together really nicely. But they've also targeted zones of structure, so if they need more support in this section, which they do, so less stretch, they've tightened up the stitch pattern here, and then they want more stretch here, so they've loosened up the stitch pattern. And these are things that you cannot see because there's so many layers to this that it's really kind of like underneath in the base, and then all of this stuff is just aesthetics. So the way that they've done this, in my opinion, is just genius. It's the first true performance woven upper that we've had without fuse or glue or anything like that backing it. There's no restriction within the upper itself, and it just feels amazing. As far as they fit, I'd go true to size. These things honestly felt better every time you wear them. They made this performance woven upper for a couple reasons. One, it's just cool. Two, they're able to do exactly what they want with it while they're making it. So like I was saying earlier, stitch in those certain structural zones. And then three, you're able to use one last, and it's supposed to be able to wrap around to anyone's foot shape because it is a woven upper. So if you have wide foot, narrow foot, whatever it might be, these things are supposed to be able to cater to you no problem. As far as lockdown is concerned, they have kind of their version of Flywire. It's these little lacing systems here, and they go throughout the midfoot, and then they go down and they're attached to the base of the shoe. So when you lace everything up, it just kind of tightens up and keeps your foot onto the footbed there, which is really awesome. And then the heel of the shoe basically is built fairly traditionally, even though it is performance woven. There is still a heel cup in the back. It's not anything crazy. It's not like carbon fiber or anything like that, but it does its job and it does it well. So the ventilation is probably their one downside. You do get a little bit of airflow throughout this just because it is a woven upper, but the downside of that is that it's also fabric, so it's just kind of absorbing more moisture than it's allowing like heat to escape with the limited airflow that it offers. As far as the support is concerned, like I was saying earlier, the material section, a lot of that is just kind of woven into the upper itself. Really interesting to do that. It actually works, so I can't complain whatsoever. It just felt like a regular shoe, but without any break-in time. And then the rest of it is coming from the flight plate system. Having it decoupled offers much more range of motion than you'd ever receive in any other shoe. I just really love that decoupled setup, and then with their little tendril addition right there, it just offers a really smooth ride. All right guys, that pretty much takes care of everything for the performance review. These things are awesome on court. I still hold the traction for the 28 just a little bit higher than these guys here, but for what they are, they work really, really great on most court surfaces. And then the performance woven upper is just a game changer for me. I just love the way that it feels. I love the way that it fits. I love the way that it moves. And I love how it feels fresh out the box. You'll be able to grab these guys along with a couple other colorways over at finishline.com. Retail price is going to be $225. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all your support. And until next time, guys, have a good one.